Hey, second grade, Miss Shannon here. I'm going to read a story titled Magnets Work, which is an expository text, meaning this text is going to give us some information about a topic. Our essential question this week is, how do the Earth's forces affect us? Read to learn about magnets and how they help us. As I read, I want you to be thinking about what is the author's purpose for writing this story. After we read, we are going to fill out our graphic organizer for author's purpose and determine why the author wrote the story. Remember that the author's purpose is the main reason why an author writes the text. An author might write nonfiction to give or explain information about a topic. An author may have strong beliefs about a topic and write to persuade or convince the reader to feel the same way. An author may also write a story to entertain readers or make them laugh. So be thinking about why the author wrote this story, Magnets Work, as I read. Once again, author's purpose is our comprehension skill of the week. Authors write to tell information, explain, or describe. And as you read, look for clues to the author's purpose. Magnets work. Did you know magnets are all around you? Magnets help you do amazing things. Keep reading. See if you think magnets have surprising uses. Magnets pull. Look closely and you will see magnets can be found on a can opener. The magnet attracts or pulls the lid off of a soup can. A push or pull is called a force. There is also a magnet in a refrigerator. It pulls the metal in the door to make a tight seal. Do you know how? Did you know magnets are all around you? Magnets do. Oh, shoot. A magnet's force pulls objects made of metals called iron and steel. It will not pull other things. It will not pull a wooden pencil or a plastic toy. A magnet does not attract all items. Magnets have poles. You have proved or shown that magnets can pull some things to it. Why is this true? The two ends of a magnet are its poles. Every magnet has a north pole and a south pole. And I see second graders, there is a diagram and it shows a train car with the North Pole and South Pole labeled, showing that the North Pole and the South Pole of the magnets are attracted to one another and they're pushing together. Unlike poles attract each other. And in this next diagram, we see a train car that has a North Pole and another train car that also has a North Pole. And you can see that the red arrows are pointing away from one another. They are resisting. Like poles repel each other. So instead of attracting, they are repelling, pushing away. Let's continue reading. Have you ever played with trains that have magnets? Sometimes you try to put two train cars together, but they repel. This means they push away from each other. Then you turn one of the cars around. The two cars snap together as quick as a wink. That's right. If you've played with these trains, you know it is true. When the train cars push away, two of the same poles are facing each other. However, if you put the north and south poles together, they will snap together like the train. Magnets can be powerful. We know that magnets can move objects, but does the heaviness of an object matter? Can magnets move objects that have different weights? Yes, they can. Scientists are using magnets in new ways. People often wish they could travel at a faster speed than a train. There is a new train that uses powerful magnets to travel more quickly. Magnets lift the train above the track and push the train forward. The train appears to be moving as fast as lightning. Scientists have measured these train speeds. They are much faster than the trains we know. Can you imagine what magnets will help us do in the future? And second graders, I see a photograph with a caption. So it's important to read every part of the page, not just the paragraphs, but all parts, including captions and labels. So I'm going to read the caption now. The magnets on this train make it float over the track. That's pretty impressive, second graders. Magnets can do a lot of really cool things. Now that we've read the story once through, we are going to use our Your Turn practice book and turn to page 106. On that page, you will find our graphic organizer for identifying author's purpose. It looks like this. It has 2 boxes for clues and 1 box below labeled author's purpose. Go ahead and find that page now and press play when you're ready to move on. All right, second graders, just a quick reminder, the authors write expository text to tell information, explain, or describe. So think in your head, what information did the author explain or describe about in our story Magnets Work? Let's reread and see if we can figure out some clues. We learned on the first page that magnets can be found on a can opener to help pull off a soup can lid. They can help pull the refrigerator door shut to make a tight seal. So on this first page, it sounds like the author was giving us examples of where we see magnets in everyday life. I highlighted that section where we learned about different uses for magnets. So our first clue is that the author gives examples of how magnets are used. Go ahead and press pause as you write down your first clue. Press play again when you are ready. All right, we have moved on to the next part of the story, where the author talks to us about toy train cars or magnet train cars. The author described how sometimes when you try to put 2 train cars together, they repel. Do you remember why they might repel or push away from each other? That's right. If they have the same poles, North Pole and North Pole together will repel one another or push away. But if you turn them around and have a North Pole and a South Pole together, they will click together or attract one another. So I circled that information that we learned. When the train cars push away, 2 of the same poles are facing each other. But if you put the North and South poles together, they will snap together. That was a piece of information the author taught us. So I wrote down for clue 2, the author explains how magnets have poles and why they pull things together or push things apart. So they were explaining how magnets can either repel or attract one another. Go ahead and write this down for clue number 2. Here is an example that looks almost identical to the page that is in your book. It has the same information written on it for our 2 clues. However, you may notice that our author's purpose box is blank and has a big red box around it. This is a signal to you that it is now your turn to identify the author's purpose. Think about what was the author trying to teach you in this story? What was the main topic of the passage? Think back to our clues. The clues are all about magnets, examples of magnets around us, and explaining how magnets work. So, what do you think was the author's purpose in writing this story? What did the author want to teach you, the reader? Okay, I can't wait to see what you all write for your author's purpose. Remember to start your sentence with a capital letter and end with a period.